though I want this to be a slightly more interactive process because I've already said a lot in the 90 minutes that Nagesh had that very, very lively session. I want to leave a couple of thoughts for people in the retail industry. One is that you need to understand growth well. As you grow, businesses get more complicated. And this industry, I find that many people start as mom and pop shows, but they're not able to go to the next level. Because going to another level, which all of us who aspire to do, would require employing people, employing professionals, having better employee conditions, having provident fund, etc., and then a lot more systematic in your accounting. When I look at retailers across the country, and I meet a fair amount of etc. in Delhi, their accounting, their compliance issues are very, very rudimentary. And with GST coming, GST is a great event. It could be a disruptor for you, or it could be a great blessing for you. You need to spend quality time, whether you are taking over a family business or you are an IIT guy who has slipped into business. You need to give the underbelly of your business a lot more attention about doing things. I think this is something which many retailers are not focusing enough on. The second is the point which everyone is making in the session before. There is profit at the bottom of the pyramid. There's a huge amount of profit you see, India's per capita income will grow, but it will grow not at the pace of Singapore, because we got 120 crore people in the denominator. So even if you keep increasing the GDP by 7% and the nominal GDP by 12%, it's going to take a long time for our $1,500 per capita to go to, say, $5,000 per capita. So you need to position yourself tactically at where the market is. Now, I think this is again the Patanjali story. I look at this Patanjali story. I sit on the boards of one of the top FMCG companies, and almost all of them, the biggies, Colgate, Lever, P&G, Dabur, most of them had a degrowth in volume last quarter and probably the coming quarter too. And do you know how much Patanjali has grown this year? 100%. From 5,000 crores, the guy is going to be 10,000 crores. His strategy has been very value driven. I give you value at a price. So I think if you want to enlarge markets, you need to price yourself, position yourself at the right place. I'm not saying there is no market for Versace or Hugo Boss or whatever, but there is a risk associated with that. And so if you want your risk management to be proper, you need to position yourself proper. Your compliances should be strong, and you should have ethical practices. Apart from real estate, the industry which has the biggest amount of unaccounted money flowing is retail. Even today, you go to a shop in Connaught Place, the fellow will say, do you want bill? Then I'll add 12% tax or 13% tax. You're never asked this question in London or Sydney, or do you want a bill? They give you a bill. So I don't know what's wrong, whether tax is a problem or the mindset is a problem or the consumer is a problem. But so in every transaction we do, there is an element of unaccounted cash. I think this will probably change a bit with GST from July. But then these are very fundamental mindset issues that you will have to contend with. You are an industry. I'd like to think of you as an industry because you have so many common issues and so many common aspirations, though located in all over the country, with the greatest opportunities. I think there can be, I would go to an extreme case and say we could import all our products. So there need not be any agriculture. Theoretically, not that it's going to happen. But without the trading community, nothing can happen. You are one of the most critical industries and which will have a natural growth with demography, with per capita income. But that, just because the industry is growing, it doesn't mean you will grow. You may die, somebody else may grow. You may be slow on the uptake. So it is a challenge to grow even in a growing industry because the barrier to entry is nothing. There's no barrier to entry in retail. Anybody can become a retailer. So an industry without barriers to entry is always a competition risk out there. So these are some of the facets about your industry you need to think about. Also, I want to get some feedback from, it's very rare that you get a group of diverse people all united in a common cause. I would imagine that as a retailer, your biggest problems that you worry about when you get up in the morning are your cost of your premises, the cost of your capital, and harassment by inspectors. First of all, I want to ask you the question. How many of you feel these are the three important issues that face you today? Please raise your hand. Not many people. Is it that you feel that there are some other more important things to worry about as a retailer than the cost of your premises and electricity and power, etc., two, the cost of finance, the bank availability and cost, and third, the fear that some inspector will come under PF Act or labor. What is the other worry that you have? Can somebody tell me what's the worry you have? Don't say I don't have enough consumers. Yes? Digital? Digital? Okay. That's a big issue. That is, when somebody comes to your shop and you swipe the card, you have to pay a lot. Is that the cost you're talking about? You, sir? Huh? Transaction cost. So transaction cost is emerging, to my mind, as a very, very important bottleneck. What can the government do to reduce this transaction cost? Can the government actually do something in its power to reduce transaction cost, or has it just got to be supply, demand, market forces that will bring them down? If the Retail Association can think about it and give me an answer, I'll be happy to take it up with whoever is involved. If it is such a strong issue, do you think the government is doing enough to bring down premises costs, real estate costs associated with real estate? Is there something the government can do to make it cheaper? Do you think demonetization has helped bring down real estate prices in cities? Not yet. So actually taking up a shop in a mall or on the high street is a very big expense. It is? Do you get finance against it? Does a retailer get finance against it?
Sir, may I answer your questions? My name is Sriram. I come from Chennai. I've been in retail for 20 years now, and I've been an entrepreneur for the last 2.5 years. So to answer to the last 2-3 questions of yours, I set up my own retail shop. It's a baby product shop. I put in my own money. And contrary to what we have been hearing, I've not got a single rupee of loan without collateral from any of the banks, neither the government banks or the so-called private banks. That's one point. So ease of doing business or ease of starting up itself is a huge challenge as far as retail is concerned for people like us. 2, you asked about the causes which are hindering our businesses. You yourself mentioned 2 minutes back that in Cannot Place the guy is not giving a bill. Now we in retail, on an average, make between 20 to 25% gross margin, on an average. Now if we are spending 12% on tax and 2% or 2.5% on transaction costs, then what we earn is very, very little. I have a private limited company. We have a reputed auditor as our auditor, and we've been under losses for the last 2.5 years, so there is obviously no money to pay us profit on tax. But why traders are hoarding is primarily because the cost of doing business is very, very high for very small businesses like ours. 3, you spoke about real estate. I am supposed to pay 15% service tax on a rent, which I pay to a landlord. On that income, hopefully he already pays an income tax. So why would I have to pay 15%? So these are some of the issues which are...
But that is mod-vatable, no?
Not yet. The service tax on rent cannot be...
It's not mod-vatable?
No. So that's a cost. So...
I see.
So there are large companies which do hundreds of thousands of crores of turnover, and then there are small enterprising, I'm sure there are hundreds of people sitting here, who are either employed or want to take up entrepreneurship at some day. But in 2.5 years, I've lost a couple of lakhs or crores. But that's fine. That's the learning that I've taken in the business. But trust me, today doing retail business as an entrepreneur, as a startup entrepreneur, is perhaps the biggest challenge that we have in retail in India today. And I think that is one of the biggest deterrents for people to enter into retail business and at least try to make a difference. My submission, sir. Thank you.
I think that is a very, very clear message coming from Sriram, very well articulated. I think he made a very strong statement. It's the most difficult, it's the biggest challenge is to start a retail business in India. It's a very sober thing. I go to seminars on information technology and, people don't have that sentiment at least. Here it's a very sober thought that here are people who are doing something where there are so many bottlenecks. And I do hope that you will continue to have a dialogue. And I feel that one thing I can say, the government is very, very keen. I'm not part of the government, but whatever we interact with our colleagues in the government from the party side, very, very, very keen to bring down the price of commercial real estate in cities. This is something that keeps on coming up because there is a total disequilibrium between commercial prices, and that's throwing up a lot of problems everywhere. Even to set up a college or a university or a hospital is a problem. To set up anything, to set up a habitat center type of cultural place is a problem. Everything is a problem because of this artificial. But then this, sorry, I think with this I'll stop because I'll keep quiet. The digitalization and transaction cost is something which has to be resolved. And if you can give me a paper, probably the finance ministry and the telecom ministry are the two places. I will take it up with them and try to see what can be done. Thank you.